Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with Charms. You're here with the man himself, and welcome back to the Two Blues podcast platform. And this is my day. This is always gonna be my day, where we chop up all of the football topics in the sort of ecosphere of the sport, and then just spit them back out onto a paper. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it yesterday, today, whenever I fancy. But right now, we're talking David Coote. We're talking San Marino, international success, topping their group. Can't believe I've just said that. We're talking Ruben Amorim, makes his way to Carrington, ahead of a big fixture at Ipswich on the weekend. Ipswich, no slouchy side, smashed Spurs in their last game. I will say it until it's not true. But before we get in, don't forget to like, sub, all of them. David Coote, what are you doing with your nostrils open and Colombia inside of it? But listen, on a real note, about that situation, I've got a bit of a weird take about it, and I was speaking about it with Dan the other day on the podcast. But for me, like, obviously, the clear drug usage which came out afterwards is quote unquote unacceptable and whatnot. But like, everyone is gonna do their own thing in their own time with their own devices and whatnot. Fair enough. Being caught is ridiculous. Like the fact that you've known that you're getting videos of yourself as a sporting professional, or at least in that sort of in the sporting world as a referee, you're considered, as far as I'm concerned, to be a part of the sport, which is something that I'm not as fortunate to be a part of, at least directly. I would do anything to be a part of the football and get paid to be involved with the Premier League and with football, even PGMOL and all the boring UEFA and all of those. Just even having an association towards my name, I would be very, very, very grateful and forever indebted. But as David Coote, he's only had his whole life to train for that moment, so it's fine. Someone's got the camera in front of your face where you're railing lines. That shouldn't have any harm for your career. He should have never been filmed doing anything of the sort. Never been doing anything of the sort. Fair enough, but you know that everyone is up to it. So it's just when you're that sort of complacent about the damages, it goes to really show how you feel. So that's also where I have a concern. The comments made as towards Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp and all of that, I think that just boils down to an even bigger topic, really, of should we have English referees refereeing in England? Which obviously I can understand the keep English referees in England argument. I can hear it out, even beyond the patriotism level. But I believe that we produce some of the best referees in the world, whether or not that their performances are based on the biases of the Premier League. That which I can imagine there is a massive correlation into the decisions made and the clubs that they're made against. I think, to put it simply, referees should just move, and we should employ more Turkish and German and Spanish referees, and we should send more of our refs to the Turkish, the German and the Spanish league respectively. I think we should do it on a one-for-one basis, and I think that we would see more consistency in the game, although it might be a bit more confusing with the VAR and language barriers, obviously English being the number one credential needed. I think it would save the Premier League in full transparency. We've done decades and decades of adjustments in terms of VAR and internal investigations, and should this have happened. And I'm not saying that Champions League fixtures, apologies for the yawn, it's incredibly early, but I'm not saying that European fixtures don't have rig beside it. Trust me, I'm a Chelsea fan. If there's one thing I know about in sports, is that you have to question the ethics until proven otherwise, right? Barcelona in 2008. But I think that overall it would challenge the integrity of the sport in a positive way, and we would end up with less biased results and less decisions given against us. I mean, the reason why Turkey was brought up is because of the particular rampant nature of the cheating that happens in their sport, and what is outwardly explicitly cheating. It was Jose Mourinho posted about it after the Fenerbahce Galatasaray game, where there was just clear handball, I believe it was, in the 93rd minute, and it's not given because it benefits the side that has the more historic value in Turkey, being Galatasaray. So it'd be nice if there was an English unbiased referee that was there to make that decision, make that call, and he wouldn't give it. You know, and it'd be interesting to see if that is the case, or maybe they do let it fly and nothing is called, but then you can't give the question of biases, right? Because the referee has nothing attached to it. If anything, maybe a bias towards Jose Mourinho if they're a United fan. You know, they might want a former manager to have a successful post-career, but that's stretching it. Next topic of discussion, you've got San Marino. How have they done that? They've topped their group. They've just come off of a 3-1 win against, Liechtenstein? That's wild. Wild. Topping their group. They made 7 points. They had a couple of wins and a draw. The losing was the least likely thing that they had done. It's wild, bro. San Marino. Think about this, yeah? They're just a micro-state off of Italy, right? They're just like some little piss away. I wouldn't even call them the bitch of football, because that would imply there was a form of respect at one point that's been stripped, but they're more like a speck of like dust, you know, like when you pat your pillow down and that dust comes off. It's just one of them in the football atmosphere, and they've just landed on a strip of gold. This is their prime. This is their best patch in the country's, in the nation's history, and we're living through it right now. I really hope they qualify for the Nations League. I don't really understand how the qualification works, but I can imagine that one team from lower coefficient, the E group, is going to qualify. I think. So that would be interesting if San Marino could get into an international tournament. I wouldn't put a penny on them, to be honest. I'd probably put my house against them every single match and then get second house by the end of the 7 games. But if say that they're going to get there. But yeah, man, it's just such an interesting time we live in. I feel like not enough people are celebrating this triumphant moment in their history. I mean, 3-1 is a fucking huge result. This team got whacked 13-1 by Germany, got whacked 10-0 by Norway. They've been whacked 11 and 12-0 regardless by teams in between them time periods. It's like pick a number, pick up the whap and fire it off, and I'm pretty sure it will land. So shout out to all of my Milanese family out there, San Marinos, whatever you're called. But you lot are in a beautiful little strip of your history. Next, the final topic of today is Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. Now, since we last spoke, Amorim had been appointed. But since then, I've been able to see the reaction from the Manchester United fans, and everyone's overwhelmingly positive. And although I would have a little bit of concern that people are getting a little bit too gung-ho, a little bit too steadfast in their love for Ruben Amorim, because although he seems to be a fantastic manager on paper, and everything on paper seems to be, you know, what they wanted. I remember the conversation of Ralph Rangnick with people will, this Ralph Rangnick, you know, that this is a proper move by the higher ups. You know, they're getting in a football director to come in so he can manage it more like a business. This will be good for us long term. And 8 weeks in, you could tell this was a farce. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, club legends come in, and you know, I can imagine he's going to work wonders until we get, you know, a world-class manager. He ended up proving himself enough that he stayed there for so long that you lot just got sick of him the minute there was a slight little purple patch. Now we're hearing Ruben Amorim, that, you know, this second coming. I just can't wait to see what he does with a real team. You know, he's been doing so well with Sporting, and look at the work he's done with Victor Gyökeres and how he's turned him into a true striker. You think this man's going to come in and turn Rasmus Højlund into Victor Gyökeres? You've got another thing coming, yeah? I hope that... I honestly, I hope that it doesn't go well. I reckon it will. But I think that the way that United fans are talking about this, like it's already gone well, is absolutely farcical. I think that everyone needs to kind of rein it in a little bit and kind of smell the flowers of what they have right now and what they actually smell like, because we can't sit here and praise someone who hasn't done anything yet, or has done something in a league which is incomparable with the Premier League. And fair enough, you can use Jose Mourinho as an example, you know, but I haven't seen Amorim winning the Champions League or coming close by any stretch, really. So I think that those comparisons need to fastly and swiftly go straight through the window. But I do think that he is a great manager with some great ideologies, and I think that Man United is going to be a good team for him. I think they've got a good nucleus for a team. I think players like Garnacho, lesbian looking at, Amad Diallo, even to some degree Rasmus Højlund and Lisandro Martinez, those guys who can be a little bit more up and down. I think they've got the good skeleton for a really quality side. So although everyone seems to expect United top 4 or title challenge this year and next year, I don't see it happening. But I do think with enough time, Ruben Amorim can cook. But I think everyone just needs to shut up a little bit, to be honest, because it's doing my head in hearing people talk about a manager they've never seen manage a game of football, potentially winning the Premier League, when you've got a side like Chelsea and 9 points off it who have no chance of contending. But that's pretty much everything, guys. Thank you kindly for tuning in for another episode. Very grateful. God bless yourself. I'm C Money. Don't forget to tap in and subscribe on Two Blues Podcast, at Two Blues Charms on the Instagram, at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the Twitter and the TikTok and all of that. Till then, goodbye. God bless. Love. Take care.